started. David Cosney, why are you on this show? And tell us something no one knows about you, and then we'll jump right into the need for pronouns and why we should respect pronouns. Go.
Yeah, Dr. Lulu, thank you. And your other guests, thank you so much. I really appreciate you jumping in and being there. I grew up gay. I'm in my late 50s now. And, you know, I saw you on Clubhouse and I see what you do here on Instagram. It is so important. I look back on my life and I've had a really great life. It came hard. It was difficult to get to. And when I see someone like you with the kind of energy and goodness and understanding that you are putting out there like a fountain of goodness into the world, it's just something I want to support. So to be able to be here today is a privilege. As far as pronouns, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying I am honored. When I decided to do this show, nobody could have told me just the impact it was going to have. I was just like, you know what? I've never seen a show like this before. Maybe there are shows like this, but I don't know anyone. So I was like, let me start my own. You know what they say? If you're looking for a book to read, you don't find the book, write it. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to do a show through the month of June. We're going to talk to queer folks and their allies and a couple of homophobes. Why not, right? But guess what? The show has taken over. I am just so thankful. And I'm going to do the unthinkable. I'm going to add this person to the show. Yes, because I can. They're leaving, but it has been an amazing morning. We were just, you know, being vulnerable and being authentic and just telling all kinds of truths. If you've ever known Dr. Lulu to be nervous, I was actually like, oh my goodness, I was nervous a little bit. But they were like, oh, you were really good. By the way, you are made for TV. I'm like, I know that. We're just kidding. But so they're packing up and leaving, so I do have to get their business card. Sir, don't forget your business card. Oh, very good. So they're still here. So they're in the background, and they can hear your voices. So y'all are going to be on Gail King. Oh, I love it. But of course, we're not doing this because of that. And I think that's the beauty of it. And what I said today is, when you find your niche, the world will find you. I don't know how Gail King's show found me. It doesn't matter. The point is, I'm living my truth and I'm doing service to the world. And that's it. And this woman right here, Kay Hud, she predicted I was going to be on Oprah. She even said that. She said, girl, you're going to be on Oprah. I was like, okay. But the point I'm trying to make is that whether it's Oprah, whether it's not Oprah, when you're doing good, goodness will have no choice but to come to you. So David, tell us something that no one knows about you.
Well, Dr. Lulu, I am in my late 50s. I have 2 boys. My partner and I, my husband and I have 2 boys who are 20 and 21. So we're kind of on the far end of the parenting.
Can you stop first? Can you stop and say, my husband and I? That sounds like music to my ears. Say that again.
My husband and I.
I love it.
Wonderful husband.
We're an inclusive space here, okay? So if you came by accident, there's the door if you can't handle the heat. He just said his husband and him have 2 boys, okay? It happens. There are people like that, and there are regular people, and they are real parents, and that's what I'm here. I'm about to just give you a platform to magnify the fact that people live normal lives that are husbands and wives, and they have children, and it's okay. So, K-Hud, real quick, and Kwame, thank you so much. I received that. Kwame was like, oh, it's beautiful. Of course it's beautiful. Of course it's beautiful. It's the world, it's people like us and you that puts the negativity in an otherwise beautiful thing, you know? So, K-Hud, real quick, you were trying to tell us why you, in particular, why you want to talk about the need for inclusivity and acceptance at the workplace of LGBTQ plus people. So talk to me.
Because when you think about your workplace, that's the linchpin for your entire life. People deserve to be treated fairly at work. Whoever you're with, your significant other, has absolutely nothing to do with the quality of work you put out. So I'm not even understanding why it's even an issue. But I am adamant against fighting injustice. So, and I am.
Oh no. Oh no. Okay, so while her phone is thinking, David, I'm going to ask you real quick. Do you still work, David?
I am largely retired, but what I do is life coaching, in fact. And I really support the fact that you're doing that as well in such an important area. So yeah. I did used
Very
to
good.
work in diversity, inclusion, and equity. And one of the things that was my pleasure to do was to help groups who would have someone going through a gender transition come to terms with it. And every time you would go from someone who was struggling at work to someone who was so grateful that they could be themselves at work. They were so grateful that all of a sudden they were productive beyond anybody's expectations. It was really amazing. So that's another reason to go where Kehad was talking about. I really agree with her, and I just want to underscore that as well.
That's fantastic. I'm so thankful that you're there. I don't think I've ever experienced, should I say that? I did experience sexism at work because, you know, I'm a Black female. I'm fearless and I'm fierce. But you know, some people can't take that. And then all they see you is as a threat. But really, you're just living in your truth, right? So ideally, people should be free to work and do what, and you know, you're even more productive when you work at an inclusive place. And that's why I say people don't quit their jobs. They quit the toxicity at work. Because when you go to another place, you do the same job. So you're not really quitting your job, you're quitting the toxicity. This is so amazing. Go ahead.
And they lose you. If you treat them poorly, you lose the person who could be giving their all. It's very costly. So there's really no case to be made for it except the weakness and the fear of the people who can't stand diversity.
Yeah, that's true. Well, as a Black woman and as a Black mother of three hijos, I receive that. I think the world needs a lot more people who see you for your potential and not, oh, well, she's gay. Oh, well, she's Black. No, that's just like 0.00% of who I am. But I'm glad that you're also a life coach, because I'm a life coach and I appreciate that. So if you're just joining us, the show is a little late today, but we had a great reason. We were, you know, otherwise occupied. But here's the thing, though. The show is called The Pride Corner, Our Coming Out Stories and More. And my guest is David Posney, also a life coach. We're going to be talking about his own or their own coming out story and the role that acceptance may or may not have played in all of this. So welcome to the party, Olamide. Welcome from Nigeria. So real quick, David, what's your coming out story? Can you take a moment, take a deep breath and tell us? But before you do that, if you're not following David yet, please hurry up and follow him. And if you're not following me yet, what are you waiting for? Okay. So my Facebook is Ask Dr. Lulu. My Instagram is Ask Dr. Lulu, excuse me. And I also have a TikTok called @UChenna. And if you can hear my voice, please type that down. But and we're going to talk about that later on. But David, so tell us, what is your coming out story? What was it like?
Well, you know, in some ways it was very common for someone of my age in America, in the United States. I grew up as one of those quintessential very good boys. And when I discovered that I was gay in my late teens, early 20s, the main thing that I was most upset about was that people were going to see me as something illicit or dirty or awful. And I just thought, I can't find anything about me that is illicit or dirty or awful. It was so important to me that I not be seen that way and still to be honest. That was very hard in the late 80s. It turns out it's still hard.
Yes, it's still hard. But even before you go any further, so you realized you were gay in your late teens, or was it that you came out in your late teens? In other words, did you know sooner than that?
I didn't know that. And so I admire generations of kids who do.
Yeah, walk us through that conversation in your head the day you realized, oh, wait, I'm gay.
You know, Dr. Lulu, that is such an intense question. Because the reason I didn't come out to myself, the reason I didn't realize, even though, you know, kids called me names and I thought, what's going on? They could see it before they even knew what they could see. Why could I not see it? And the reason I couldn't see it is I couldn't join the two visions, those homosexuals and who I am. I couldn't put them together. And when I finally did, luckily, it was in the context of a loving relationship with a really wonderful young man at the time. He was my age. And that gave me the courage to see that I'm not bad. But the idea that you might be bad is such a terrible, terrible thing.
Can you please say that again for those at the back? A child is born beautiful and good, and then the world around the child tells the child that the child is bad. And then the child grows up with that kind of trauma, just believing that they are bad for no reason but that they are who they are. I think saying it's really, really terrible is even like putting it mild. And if you can hear my voice, please type in the comment section, no child is bad. Please write that down for me if you can hear my voice. No child is born bad. No child is bad. The word bad and children they should never coexist. And Kwame says this conversation is therapeutic. Thank you so much, Kwame. Now, Kwame, since you have your, thank you. Kwame says no child is bad. No child is bad. No child is bad. Thank you so much, Nadine, as GM39. But sadly, it takes the whole world tells one little kid that they're bad, and then you're surprised that the kids jump. And if you've watched any of my shows, you know that I refer to suicide as jump. Why are you surprised that kids that there's such a high rate of suicide? You know, African American kids aged 5 through 12 are twice as likely as their white counterparts to die by suicide. Why? What is wrong with us adults? And one of the things I said today was it takes a village to raise a child, but it also takes a village to save a child. So we all need to put our heads together and put an end to suicide. Not just me. I'm not the only one that sees it. So David, coming back to you, do you feel like you were accepted whenever you finally did eventually, ultimately come out? Do you feel like you were accepted?
The answer is yes and no. And I'll tell you, my parents came to a really beautiful place. They were, may they rest in peace, the most supportive people of my husband, of my children, of my life, but it took them a while. And one thing that I wanted to...
Well, you know what, David, I don't want you to rush that. That's so important.
Yeah.
Your parents eventually came around is what you're saying, yes?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so if you can hear my voice, I want you to listen to me. David just said, while his parents became supportive, it took a while. Now, we're lucky to have David here today. But David, I'm going to ask you that critical question. Was there any point in your life when you felt like you had no business being alive as a result of the response you got from your family or from your friends?
I would have to say no. And at the same time, I would say the pain was enormous. And I can't explain why that burden and that trauma did not lead me to want to end my life. And it did for other people. I can't say why, but the pain was tremendous.
The pain was tremendous. So first of all, let's give thanks that you did not get broken, because enough kids, enough young adults, enough adults get broken. Welcome to the party, Dr. Ann, my sister, and Eden Torres. Welcome to the party. We're talking to my guest today, David Posney, who is talking about our coming out stories and more on the show called The Pride Corner. That corner right there, the corner between the door and the wall. So if you can't take the heat, there's the door, okay? See you later. But we're talking about important stuff here. So you're saying that you said yes and no. You felt accepted, but then you didn't feel that. Tell me about that. Walk me through that.
and there were more, but there are articles in the newspaper today where some national religious leader will say something slanderous, they will tell a lie about me. That hurts. When I, even to this day, and my community is so accepting and so embracing, and I just never encounter among parents cruelty, but to this day, if I'm going to meet friends of my children, there's something that goes through me that echoes of all those voices that said, I'm a terrible person, I'm dangerous to children. I'm not. Nobody who knows me thinks anything of the sort. But there are people lying about that on national news every day. There are websites devoted to that lie.
Exactly. David, do you know that my 5th book is coming out? And one of the things I do in the book is I burst 35 myths about gays. Now, the book is about parenting your queer child, but part of the book is bursting 35. I found 35 on the internet, and I'm sure there are more. I just stopped at 35 myths about gays, and one of them is that LGBTQ plus gay people are pedophiles. Where did that even come from? Like, my child is an innocent human. I am an innocent human. Why? Can you tell us, or do you even know why that narrative just decides to come and stay and it's not even budging? Do you have any ideas?
I have an idea, because when it was not okay to be a gay adult, the places that people might have encountered homosexuality from males primarily was, for instance, their youth pastors or their church, and that's the people who they encountered, not people who are living in families, in pairs, in dating as open adults, people who were bound by shame and shoved into the corner where they used, unfortunately, some of them, not the majority, used their power over children in a way that was horrible.
Exactly. Exactly. But here's the kicker. The kicker is the pastors, the priests themselves are still allowed to priest people. They're still allowed to be priests. Yet they are the ones that are molesting and sodomizing and messing with our kids. My child is not a pedophile. Are you kidding me? Like, what does that even mean? Yet those who are y'all leaving? Okay. Yet those who are, no one is saying anything to them. Welcome to the party, Shari, my sister, and Port Bagage. Welcome to the party. And if you can hear my voice, thank you so much for joining us. The show is called The Pride Corner, where we talk about queer folks and then some. I don't know, I moved that. And that's my beautiful flag right there, and that's my child and whatnot. And today my guest is David Posney, and we're talking some serious stuff. Why an innocent child should be seen by the whole community around them as bad without any effort from the child. And so David is sharing with us how their coming out story, did they feel accepted or did they not? So David, when you talk about not feeling accepted, who did you not feel accepted from?
I want to answer your question, but I also just want to give a quick little shout out to Port Bagage, who is the wife of the non-binary child of my sister.
Yeah.
And I love her. So I just wanted to give a shout out.
Yeah, shout out to you, Port Bagage. Epstein says, David. So if you can hear my voice, do me a favor, please tap on the little arrow at the bottom right of your screen and invite your friends. Invite some more of David's friends. Let us talk about this stuff. This is so important to talk about, to highlight the lives of queer people, to highlight that they are regular people like you and I. They haven't done anything to you, and you should just leave them the heck alone. Okay? I heard that there was a guy that was run over in their neighborhood yesterday for no reason than the neighbor felt like that they being gay was a bad thing to the neighborhood. They ran him over while he was getting his mail, and he's a dead man today. What is the meaning of this? So these are the reasons why parents are afraid when they hear that their kids, come out. But in all fairness, Parents, if you can hear me, fear doesn't serve you. Fear does not do anything positive for you. So you need to embrace your child regardless, and let's just go with it, okay? Because living in fear is not healthy. So, but David, go ahead.
So, Dr. Lulu, one of the things that I so admire about what you're doing is that it's not only for the children, but because the stories that we carry as children are about our adult parents, the parents are going to gain so much from the acceptance. We think that the children's stories are our stories. My child was up late all night. I'm tired. My child, my child went to the principal's office, and that really means, can you believe what I have to go through? But when I say my child is betraying me by being gay, my child hears my parent hated who I really was. And that's the story that I'm going to live after I'm dead. My story is going to be my parent hated who I really was. Or if I say no child of mine is queer, their memory will be my parents didn't want me. And
exactly.
I don't want that as a parent for my children.
Thank you.
To remember me that way. So thank you on behalf of parents, not just the gay people, but their parents and the queer and the transgender.
Exactly. Of all the things that your child can remember, it's usually the painful. Now, they remember the good memories too, but if they have more of the bad memories, the negative memories, what you say, how you act, the things you do, they will remember those things. And I said this yesterday, I'm not here standing as the exemplary parent. No, Shari Bender was my guest a couple of days ago. I'm not here as the exemplary parent. I too struggled. But the thing about it is you don't take over the agenda and make it about you. You shouldn't make it about you, because your child is over on this corner worried about something. Oh, see that the video froze. Is my video still frozen? No?
No.
Okay.
Good.
I had a phone call.
You're good.
I had a phone call. Anyway, so but David, go ahead. So the part of you that was not accepted, I do want to come back to that. Do you feel like that had any negative effect on who you are today, David?
It did. It did. And I feel that I'm a very healed person. I feel very whole. And still, I carry around a lot of pain. As a person of color will, as a woman will, but I do. And, when I see a really affirming show like Modern Family, where there's a gay couple that have their positives and negatives, but there's a part of me that says, when I see that, I'm not funny, I'm not light. I went through the AIDS crisis where people were saying I deserved to die. I went through friends who didn't know I was gay, friends of my parents or my family who said terrible things. And I remember whether my parents stood up for me or not. I remember all those things. So we carry the pain.
And Kwame, I feel you, Kwame. I'm sending out so much love. But if you can hear my voice, please send flowers to Kwame. Kwame says, I want to be healed too from the toxic shame. Kwame was born the way they were. They have every right to live their life, to be free, to be productive members of the community. Yet they're riddled by shame and pain because someone somewhere who is at the pulpit condemns them even before they get to go to leave this world. So thank you, Dr. An is sending flowers. Please, we can hear my voice. Send flowers to Kwame. Kwame deserves it. And Kwame, I want to just tell you thank you for living your truth, for being fearless about it, because I can tell from your name that you're from Ghana. And Ghana and Nigeria are the two most homophobic countries in the world. Ghana and Nigeria, the two most homophobic countries in the world. So sad. Such a shame. Kwame, my DMs are open. If you ever want to come on my show, just type and I'll be there. All right, let's keep moving. So we're at the top of the hour. So the show is called The Pride Corner, Our Coming Out Stories and More. My name is Dr. Lulu. I'm your host. And my guest today is David Posney. So David is sharing so much love with Kwame. Kwame, I love you. I feel you. I'm just sending you hugs today. So, David, as we go into the second half of the show, what would you say to a parent who is struggling, as it were, with accepting their child? What would you say to a parent, to that parent?
There, of course, are a lot of things, but the first thing I would say is look at your child and open your heart and have faith. Look at them and think, is this a bad person or is this a good person? That's the first thing. Is my baby a good person? And if they can say yes, if they remember the looks in their eyes and the trust that they put in you, just hold that. Just hold the goodness of your child. That's number one. Next thing I would say is when we approach parenting, we know that we're going to have to be strong.
Yes.
And we want to stand up, and we want to stand up for our children, but we also want to stand up to our children. We want to tell them, this is the way you need to be. This is how to be good. And sometimes you also need to stand back, and you need to say to your child, okay, who are you? Tell me who you are. Tell me about your goodness. Tell me about your love. Just tell me who you are. And I know, like you said, if Dr. Lulu, if the parent is having trouble with that, just find that quiet place inside you where you have faith that your child is good, and just listen.
And also just ask yourself, I might add, when you're struggling, ask yourself that tough question. Why? Why are you struggling with accepting the child? Like a lot of parents in my parenting group say that all the time. Like, oh, I'm so afraid of what the neighbors are going to say or what the family members are going to say. Well, when was the last time your family members were the ones giving you advice about parenting your child? When was the last time your family members were the one who were telling you who you are, who your child is, the child that you gave birth to or you adopted or whatever, however you acquired the child? When was the last time you asked your family members for advice? And then, of course, enough people say, well, school. The truth is, the school is made up of your children. The people who bully our kids are your children. So when somebody's child is being bullied at school, it's because somebody else has not done their own job of raising their own child. So it comes all the way back to you as a parent. You need to raise kids that don't feel like they need to bully other kids. You need to do that. That's your homework as a parent. You don't take on the duty of parenting if you're not ready. Nobody said parenting was going to be easy. Okay.
Yes. And we know when we think about other things that we're less worried about, less uncomfortable about, it is our job as a parent to stand up for our child and to stand in front of, between your child and danger. And that is just the truth. So if you don't feel comfortable with this aspect of who your child is, it's really important to say, I'm standing in front of the goodness. I'm standing between badness and goodness. And I know that the person who ran over the man at the mailbox is bad, not the person who he was angry at, not the person who died. I know my child is good. I don't care what they think. I'm standing for the goodness. Keep that in your heart 24/7.
Another thing you need to remember also is, and I know this, studies have shown that enough homophobes are homophobic because they are closeted gays. They are homophobic because they cannot stand the fact that you are living your life authentically. They cannot stand the fact. You know why I say that? In Nigeria, for instance, I'm going to use my country because I know my country. In Nigeria, for instance, when the police arrests the gay people, they sodomize them. They have sex with them. So please stop this nonsense. Don't tell me that my child is bad when you are the one who, in your mind, you are the one who is jealous or hateful because of your own insecurities, your own fears, your own whatevers, right?
The loudest preachers, the loudest homophobic preachers, you put a timer on your watch till they get caught.
Yes.
It's dreadful.
Yes.
They could be having beautiful lives, and instead they're spreading hate and hating themselves. And it's just so sad and terrible.
It's terrible. It's terrible. Welcome to the party, Louis, Amaya, my man, Joshua, Levi. Welcome, welcome, welcome. The show is called The Pride Corner, our coming out stories and more. You're listening to Dr. Lulu. I just got done being interviewed by Gail freaking King. I'm still wearing my outfit from when I was at Gail King's show. I was like, listen, I'm gonna represent Nigeria. I'm going to represent West Africa. I'm going to represent Africa. I got my hair did. I got, I'm repping the Africans today, honey, because I was like, you know what? Let's go. Let's go.
Beauty and strength, Dr. Lulu. Beauty and strength.
So David, can you guess what the show was about? Can you guess what they were interviewing me about? Can you guess?
I'm going to guess about your work on behalf of LGBT people.
Yes! Yes! They wanted to interview a parent of a non-binary child.
Yes.
I don't know how they found me. Well, she told me, I asked her, she said she checked on Facebook and then she saw the work that I was doing. But the point is, just keep doing good, because I don't know Gail King from Coretta Scott King. I don't know them. But the point is, I put myself out there as an African, as a woman, as a Nigerian, as a physician, and as a mother. And I said, I'm going to work with parents who are struggling from the exact same struggles that I had. Like, what is going on with my child? Who is this? But what I'm doing is I'm educating myself, and I'm holding space for you. So if you can hear my voice and you're a parent and you think your child might be queer or gay, holla at your girl. Let's talk. Send me a DM. No one has to know. Wink, wink. But my guest today also happens to be a life coach. So David, I love the kind of coach that you are. For those who have just joined us, what kind of life coach are you?
My interest really is in helping people to find their authentic selves. And, that can be in the business world. But what I really am interested in is people finding themselves in life, and especially life transitions from youth to adult and from adult to elder. Those two stages are really key important to me. And
they're very delicate too. A lot of trauma can happen, and a lot of bad things can happen if you can't find your life or find yourself. So David, let me ask you a question, because a few of the guests that have come on the show who have been queer have said that they usually come out to themselves first. Now, my guest yesterday didn't, and I don't know, did you come out to yourself first, David?
Dr. Lulu, it was such a gradual process. It was incremental. At some point, I thought to myself, when I realized finally that these feelings I had were love and attraction instead of admiration, I tried to make my feelings more palatable. When I finally really faced it, I thought, okay, this ain't straight. I'm not sure what it is. And so I began to share that. When I finally realized that, I think this is mostly gay, I was ready to come out. And, that was a time when AIDS crisis in the United States was very severe. And, people wanted to put gay people in concentration camps, and I had enough confidence that I was good. I needed to come out. I really listened to the call of activists around me that I needed to come out, so I did.
Well, I never heard that they wanted to put gays in the concentration camp. I'm just saying for the first time. There was such a thing in America? Yeah,
politicians, governors, senators, representatives. That was a kind of debate that was going on in the newspapers.
I cannot believe what I'm hearing.
AIDS was a punchline to a joke. Ha ha ha. AIDS. It was terrible.
Oh my God. Well, I know the AIDS thing was like it was in the 80s, and I was still in Nigeria. I was a teenager then, but I do want to ask you though, because I don't know if anybody who's watching, if you have a question, please type it. If you have a question for my guest. My question to you is, how young were you the very first time it occurred to you? I'm asking this because I have enough parents who think that their child suddenly went off to college and became gay in college, or suddenly became an adult, or met somebody or whatever and became gay. What was the earliest age for you when you realized that I'm gay? What was that age? If you could put a number, what would that number be?
For me, and I will just be honest, I won't give the right answer, I'll give the honest answer. I was between 23 and 25. Now that, in my generation, you know, good boys who couldn't see themselves as bad, and that was the only option, you know, we did some mental gymnastics. But my husband knew that he was gay. I don't know whether it was somewhere between 8 and 12. He knew it. And that is really actually common for people who came out later in life of my generation, knowing early, knowing something's going on and figuring out what that is. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing about your husband, because I want people to know that there's a wide range. Actually, I love that you said 23 to 25, because I want people to know that there's a wide range of times when it finally dawns on you that this is what it is. And what I want the parents to understand is that it's a process. It's a process, and I don't want you to hijack the agenda when you're, or sexualize your child. Oh, I think they're gay, and then just put it on them and start, I don't know, doing whatever. It's important to understand that your child could find out at 3, at 13, at 23, or at 33 that they're
or
gay.
63.
Yes, or 6. Well, there you go. Exactly. And then so Kwame has a question: how does one heal from sexual shame or shame from being intimate with someone? I don't know the answer to that, but David, do you have a question? Do you have the answer to that?
It's a beautiful question, because somebody, and Kwame, I don't know you, but I know you as a human. Mm-hmm. We walk and we carry that shame, and the shame is, it is pinpointed. It is, you know, sharpshooters from around us, all around us, aiming at the most deep parts of our being. So what I can say is, it is work, and it is work that you need to do with someone who is understanding and who is loving. I will just put out there, you know, shameless plug, if you want to look at my website, David Posner, DavidPosner.coach. Feel free, and we can have a conversation or do some coaching, whatever. But I would love to give that more attention, because I believe that the love and attraction and sexual attraction that is the adult birthright of heterosexual cisgender people is the adult birthright of people all across the gender spectrum and across orientation. Absolutely.
I love the way you put that. Yes, it's the birthright. Everybody has a right to have a relationship with whoever they want to have a relationship with, without being afraid, without being ashamed, without feeling like, oh my goodness, you know, I've done something wrong, when really you're just being yourself. Thank you so much, Kwame, for the question. I sure didn't have an answer. I'm so glad that David has offered to you to reach out to him, and maybe, just maybe, there'll be a connection there.
It's a deep question. And it doesn't matter who you are. Thank you, Kwame. Yes, thank you for putting out that question, because when we talk about all of these things, at the end of the day, we have been hurt. And we deserve to be healed.
Different, yeah. So, so David, can you say your website again, so someone who is watching us can type it? I want to pin it. Can you say your website again?
Yeah, it's davidposner.coach. It's DavidPosner.coach, like life coach.
Okay, very good. So someone please type in davidposner.coach. That's your website. Thank you so much. So please type it so I can pin it. This is so important that you are available to hold space for people who are looking for who they are. Thank you so much. Dr. Ann is my girl. Thank you so much. Let me pin that. But indeed, we are all human beings, and we're all made to be here to support each other, to love each other, to be there for each other. And there's just not enough time on earth to be tearing each other down. You're black, you're a woman, you're short, you're gay, you're whatever, bisexual, you know? So thank you so much, David. So now I have to ask you the next question. What would you say to a child who is struggling with trying to find themselves and trying to accept themselves, that, you know what, I think I'm queer or gay or bisexual or whatever? What would you say to a child?
Number one, I would say, listen to yourself. Number two, I would say, whatever you determine to be the truth of yourself, whether it's non-binary, whether it is binary but transgender, whether it is gay, lesbian, anything, bisexual, pansexual, start with the fact that you are good and hold on to that. The next thing I would say is, it is going to be your job, unfortunately, to be smarter than the voices you hear around you.
Ooh, can someone please write that down? That is so good. Say that again for those at the back. You have to be smarter than the voices you hear around you. Because if you listen to those voices, they will drag you down. Because they themselves are struggling with their own insecurities. Kwame says that was deep. You have to emerge smarter than the voices around you. That is so true. All right, so David, are you okay? Good. So believe it or not, I still have my peeps here. Yes. So if you see me just a little distracted, that's why. But David, that was so powerful, and this is what we're talking about. You need to have spaces like this where we have conversations like this. I've never heard those words before, but you said it so well.
Thank you. And the last thing I want to say is, keep on finding the Dr. Lulus out there. If there are any more, start with Dr. Lulu. Keep on going. They are out there. And if you are submerged in a community that doesn't have Dr. Lulu, find Dr. Lulu. Find another.
Yes, find the Dr. Lulus out there. Actually, my son checked and said, Mom, we looked at the first 22 pages of Google, and you're the only Black physician, mom, doctor, whatever, talking to parents of queer kids. And the question is, why? Why aren't there not queer kids, parents of queer kids? The question is why? Why aren't there more people like me? Why am I the only person? Because enough of us are afraid. We're afraid of the unknown. We're afraid of being judged. We're afraid. Dr. Han said Dr. Lulu needs to be cloned. I don't mind being cloned, honey. But I mean, it's not because it's easy for me. I want you to get this. And it's not because it has been easy for me. And it's not because I am the best. It's just because I am willing to do it afraid. And I'm asking everyone who can hear me, just do it afraid. Come out of the closet afraid. Accept your child afraid. Don't let people. I have to put you guys on TV. Y'all want to be on my show? Come on.
We're behind the camera.
Welcome. Yeah, come and be behind the camera. This is behind the camera. Yo. They went behind the camera. Come around.
I'm behind the camera.
Oh my God. Say hi.
Hi.
From the CBS Morning Show. So I need your business card, sir. We need to talk about that.
They don't even give me business cards.
All right. Well,
wait, Molly.
No. My mother will say something to me. Wait, you let him leave your space waiting for Molly?
So do you have
a business card?
No. Do you?
1 second, y'all. This is live. You can't edit live.
Do you have
my phone number?
No. Do you have the
Dropbox?
CI? Yes. For all the photos. She specifically wants the photos.
Shout out to Joan. Shout out to you, Lise. Shout out to folks. Good to see you.
Yeah, David. Good job.
Let me make sure she.
What's a CI?
It's the Dropbox.
I have Dropbox. I don't know how to work it, but I do have it. But I have children who are smarter than me. I have friends in high places who know stuff like that. So if you tell me which pictures, I'll make sure that I upload or download them. Is it all the ones we talked about today?
Yes, if there's any other photos. I think
Molly
have asked you about
videos of like performance.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I have a bunch.
Whatever Molly,
I have a bunch of videos of their performance. A lot. I just have to go on my Facebook and find them. Or I can even ask them to send Flight of the Bumblebee performance, and then the other ones that they did at Stanford. Yeah.
Let me just call her to make sure.
No problem. So, but as we round up, we have about 8 minutes on the show. David, thank you so much for joining us. I like to say to people, if you don't know something and you don't look it up, you will never know. So these days, this is not the time where you say, I don't know something. You literally have the internet, Google, whatever, to find out anything. And you can find people like David who will hold space for you, people like me who are available and waiting for you to come talk to us while you struggle, because we have been there. We are talking our walk. So David, as we close down, do you have any final words? I don't like the word final. Do you have any other words to say to people watching you with regards to being an ally? Because that's one thing that I haven't been talking about, being an ally for the people in the LGBTQ plus space. What would you say to allies? So not parents, not kids, allies.
Every time you stand up for somebody, it will be burned into their memory. They will remember you when you say, this is my non-binary friend, their name is Charlie. Charlie is going to know that there was someone who was not ashamed of them. Every time you do it, you are making the world a better place. And why not do that? That's what I've got to say, Lulu. Thank you so much for what you do.
Yeah, and I wanted to mention the pronoun thing. I don't think we can overstress that. And we're supposed to come back to it anyway. The pronouns matter. Literally speaking, pronouns matter. I mean, I know there's Black Lives Matter because I'm Black. You know, children's lives matter because I'm a mom. Parents' lives matter because I'm a parent. But pronouns matter. Using the proper pronouns is what, to me, is the new thing for me. Just use somebody's pronouns. And yes, you might struggle sometimes to remember, but it's okay if you tell yourself, it's not a struggle. I got this.
Yeah, and one of the things is the way you address somebody is the first thing you can do to respect or disrespect them. If Cassius Clay comes to me and says, you call me Muhammad Ali, I'm going to call him Muhammad Ali. If someone gets a divorce and I refuse to call them by their name that they prefer, that's rude. If I was saying, if someone gets divorced and I refuse to call them by the name they went back to, that's rude.
Oh, that's a good one.
Just when someone
Don't
says,
call
please
me
call
by
me
my
this.
divorce name. Yes.
Yeah, and if I say, well, that's against my religion, they might say, well, I don't need to talk to you. You know, it's just a very, and I know I'm an old person. I've got gray hair and I've got an old brain. It's not that pronouns came easy to me. It's that I try. And so can you try? That's all.
That's
apologize.
The key. That you put the effort. Yes. That you put forth the effort. That's the kicker right there. Nobody, I mean, I'm having to learn to not say my son anymore, because technically they don't feel like they're my son. They feel like they're non-binary. And if I keep on saying my son, my son, my son, again, I'm making it about me, my. So this is so important. Pronouns do matter. If there's ever been a time in our life when pronouns matter as much as wearing your mask, is now. Pronouns matter. So go out there and make me proud. All right, so tell us again where we can find you, David. Thank you so much, and thank you for sticking with it at the beginning, trying to figure out how to get on. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and your other guests on call to be great. That was wonderful. Thank you. My name is David Posner. My website is David DavidPosner.coach COACH. Lulu, thank you for letting me promote that. But I want to thank you for being the force of good that you are, and for letting me be a small part of that. Thank you.
No, thank you. And if you'd like to follow us if you can hear our voices. Follow David. I think their IG is just Posney, right? It's just POSN. Yeah, just Posney.
POSNIE. Yep.
Yeah, POSNIE. And then follow me on Instagram right here, Ask Dr. Lulu. On Facebook, I do talk about this all the time. I have a Facebook group called Positively Parenting Your LGBTQ plus Child. And then in parentheses, I have REN, so child or children, whichever one you like. And I also have a TikTok channel at Uchenna, or if you type in Dr. Lulu, I'm actually trending because my name comes up first, my videos come up first, so it's not hard to find me. Please find me, tell someone about me. This is so important to me that, I mean, it's a matter of life and death for some people. And you need to just get with it. Just know that it's a matter of life and death, and that's it. There's nothing you can do about it. Some people really, truly jump because they feel betrayed, they feel judged, they feel ostracized, they feel belittled, they feel like they don't exist. You don't want to be the last person that someone speaks to about that. So please, please, for all this work. All right.